Vanilla, orange blossoms, a new house, a new car, the ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a true Renaissance man in studio today.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
Michael, please introduce yourself.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Michael Banovac. I'm a managing partner of R&B Luxury Real Estate, and we specialize in building, remodeling, ground-up construction, subdivision development, and also broker sales as well, buying and selling of homes.
So that would include the smell of a new house and why
love
you
that.
like the smell
Absolutely.
of a new house. I think we all can relate to the smell of a new house. Tell me a little bit more about orange blossoms.
I think orange blossoms come from the Arcadia, Paradise Valley smell in the spring. You know, there's that smell where I'm highly allergic to a lot of stuff.
Yes.
But you still love, that smell of a fresh spring day, like
Yeah.
after rain. It's really beautiful.
In Arizona, that is a fragrant smell that goes throughout the valley.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it makes me a little curious, which I think a lot of our audience would be curious about your upbringing. You're originally from Arizona?
Yeah, I grew up here, child of divorce. And the reason I say that, not to be like a detriment, but I think for me it was actually a positive because
Yes.
I learned a lot from two different households and I was raised in one cohesive family, but two different thought processes.
Yes.
My mother taught me a lot about beauty and about interior design and about how to present yourself. My father was a constant businessman, and you learn so much at a young age, and it opened up my eyes on relationships too.
Yes. And we're going to dive a little bit into that because one of the things that I think is absolutely fascinating about you is you have an initial impression of extremely successful, very refined, someone that's almost unapproachable, yet you love people.
Oh, yeah.
You take the time. I've watched you. You take the time to go around and say hi to everyone. And you make sure that no one feels like that they can't approach you. That comes from your mother?
Actually, it comes from my father. My mother was
Interesting.
a little more shy. She was the hard to approach one. My
Yeah.
father's very outgoing and interactive, and that's a Gemini, though. It depends on the room. It depends on the people. If you're uncomfortable, you're kind of remissive and put back. But when you're in outgoing mode, everyone's your friend.
Right.
But the one thing I realized growing up is you can't do it all alone.
Right.
It takes an army of people to help one another to succeed. And that's what you've been so good at doing, is bringing a lot of people together to achieve everyone's goals, not
Right.
just your own. That's very important.
Right. The bigger picture, it takes a village. We all have our purpose, and we all hopefully find what that purpose is. But then we realize that you do need that village to see the purpose come to fruition.
It's not a singular journey. That I learned in my 20s for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of when you were younger, London School of Economics and Political Science, Harvard University, and ASU's WP Carey School of Business. That's quite a mouthful and several years of time that you took to educate yourself. And it was, I'm sure it was offered to you. Parents always want their kids to go to college, but you made those choices and took them to create multiple businesses. What was the drive behind the education?
Well, the first thing was my brother actually was the first person in my family to ever go to an Ivy League college.
Wow.
And my father was the first in his family ever to go to college. And prior to that, we were lucky to graduate high school. So
Right.
it was a different thing. And my brother was like way more scholastically astute than I was. He was much more book smart. And I always figured, how do I get the resume without doing as much work?
Right.
That's always the way I thought.
We all
And
want that.
yeah. So that's the trick. Remember, no one asks you what you studied. They just ask you where you went,
Yes.
and then the conversation
Yes.
ends. So I kind of knew that going in. Initially, I went to ASU, and I had no desire to go to ASU.
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason I went to Barrett the Honors College in WB Carey was because I got a scholarship.
Yes.
And they offered me to actually pay me to stay in state. And I said, this would be foolish not to take this.
Right.
And everywhere else I applied, either got waitlisted or denied.
But you graduated from that program with, Dean's List,
Yeah.
Kuma, some,
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
fancy words. With
honors, that's the easy way to say
But
it,
yes,
yeah.
with honors.
Yeah.
So it's not only that, you took an opportunity,
Yeah.
but you made the most of it.
Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, what about London School of Economics and all that stuff? So to be fair, London School of Economics was a study abroad program
Yes.
that I took a semester in the summer to actually do. So it was actually a graduate course that I took over there, and I knew it would kind of tie into my credits at ASU.
Yeah.
And it was amazing experience. I mean, just going out of the country, those of us that have been blessed to study outside the country,
Yes.
it blows your mind. I mean, it's the best thing I ever done. And then Harvard was a similar situation. It's not easy to get in. So I
No.
actually went into the extension school, which is kind of the back door with the intention of, studying at Harvard School of Business and all these real prestigious places. But I was by far the least experienced and the least intelligent person in the room, but nobody knew that. So.
Well, and I find that so interesting because a girl like me, when I was growing up, and my parents were, kind of whiskey tango from Utah, and it was
Right.
never something that I thought I could ever even attempt to achieve.
Right.
But you put your mind to it. It had nothing really to do with someone put in a good word for you. You earned that.
Yeah,
Because
to an extent. I mean, it was something I always wanted in my mind because what I tell people when they're younger and when they're older is you have to craft your story.
Yeah.
And all about a story is little anecdotes that help people define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And education is one of those markers that makes people think a certain way about you or not,
Right.
which is interesting.
So kind of a psychological positive in your resume is
Yeah, it can't hurt.
the school names.
Yeah, because everyone says, where do you go to school? They didn't say, what'd you study? What was your GPA?
Mm-hmm.
No one cares. I mean, when you say, Harvard, everyone's, oh my God, you're brilliant. Not true, by the way.
Well, he is quite smart, but yes. We're talking vision. We're talking manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when I look at you and when I originally met you and originally heard of you, you really have focused on a vision for yourself. And maybe that changed a little bit as your business grew and the different endeavors, but you always had a vision of success for yourself, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
Even as a little kid, I always wanted to be an adult and be successful. It was crazy. But that's seeing people succeed and figuring out how they do it.
Right.
What I realized and what I try to help educate people that are clients or business colleagues or friends, and people call me monthly, probably similar to you, to say, how did you get started in the business?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the key things that it can take away? And I always say it's real simple. Focus on someone that you idolize and
Right.
reverse engineer everything that they did and do it. Don't try to do something different. Reverse engineer what they did and do it. You will be successful.
Who was the person you were focused on early on?
A lot of real estate entrepreneurs, people that came from nothing and made something. One of the books I read I really loved was Snowball by Alice Schroeder, and it was Warren Buffett's authorized biography.
Gotcha.
And it just talked about when he was a young child, how he came up with all these ideas of businesses and how to make money. It was just part of his DNA.
Yeah. Which sounds like part of your DNA.
Yeah. I mean, as you get older, obviously money's important. But like you said, I think finding a purpose to where it aligns with making money is
Yes.
the best road.
Which brings me to your mother and a little time that she decided she wanted to start dating. And you decided to lock yourself in a room for about 6 months and build a dating system site that actually connected people based on something more than pheromones.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was always interested in relationships from a young age because I realized that is life. I mean, all your relationships, whether they're romantic or platonic or business, has to do with how you get along with people. And for me, I thought dating really was no different. It's a
Right.
science. It's something that can be learned. Anyone can be desirable in the eyes of the opposite sex.
Yes.
It just takes the right steps and the right coaching. And so for my mom, it wasn't too difficult because she's beautiful. The only problem she has is, she's shy. She's definitely very isolating. Sometimes she's hard to approach. And the conversation has to be very fluid.
Right.
And so basically what I learned and what I taught a lot of my clients as they just kind of came out were how to become your best self. It's
Yeah.
magnetism. You are your best self. Best people will be attracted to you.
So Millionaire Date Doctor was created from that 6 months of locking yourself up and living with your mom at the time, I believe, or
I wasn't living with her, but I was visiting her frequently.
yes,
And yeah, I mean, you just, as a child, and I'm sure you can attest to this with your kids, it's just you want to see your mom succeed.
Oh, yeah.
You just want them to be successful because it's your lifeblood, especially as a son.
Yeah.
And so for me, I thought, well, this is interesting. If she's willing to listen to what I have to say, which sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't, there could be something here. And she had astronomical success. And then I thought, well, is this duplicatable?
Right.
And then some of her friends came to me and later clients, and we figured out it was. So it's not just a person.
Right.
Anybody can become more attractive and more desirable. It just has to want to change,
So you took a combination of your love for people and mingling with people, which came from your father's side, and your intellect to create something that now has become a #1 bestseller, a thriving business, and something that's educating people on how to find a lasting relationship. All in that span of focus of 6 months. How did that work for you, and how many years has it been, and is it still thriving now in the COVID world?
It's changed. I mean, for me, it started back in 2013 as an accident. It wasn't an intentional thing to become a relationship specialist. It was kind of my what I desired to do because I thought this is my way I can help people and help people find hopefully a lasting love, guys and girls.
Connection.
Yeah, connection. And that's important. And for me, it wasn't necessarily about making money in regards to that because I think real estate is far more profitable because people see the exchange and how it's benefiting them monetarily. But for me, I always thought relationships are even more important.
Yes.
Because they're going to totally define your life.
Yes.
And so, helping people grow and dress better and feel better and act, a better way around others and become more successful themselves, there's just nothing more gratifying. And it's polarizing.
Right.
I've had emails, from people and, IM messages and all kinds of interesting things where people totally slam my content as being, misogynistic or arrogant or whatever. And on the flip side, I've had people all the way from Australia say, I read your book. I was surprised. It actually helped me, and thank you for writing it. So it's like, when you actually don't have haters out there, you're not doing enough. You have to do something that I think creates polarization. And if you're helping people, even if it's just one person, it's worth doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is a difference between confidence and ego. And
Sure.
you have a confident yet calm presence, which can be taken as egotistical, arrogant. Yeah. And it's not. Again, you are the one person. I know everything I've gone to that you've happened to have been there. You've taken the time to say hello. It's not that. It is the calm because you're confident in what you do.
Yeah, thank you.
And that is something you teach, though, as well.
Yeah, well, people, they need calm. And the reason they need calm is there's so much chaos. You know, even in real estate, I always tell people, the reason you're paying me is not to do everything everyone else can do. It's when things go wrong, how do you maintain the calm and get it across the finish line? That's hard.
Yes.
And believe me, it's not easy because you're in the same business to where there's always ups and downs. And how do you keep an even playing field? It's very difficult.
What is it they say? There's no crisis in real estate because it's hectic anyway. So approach the hectic time with a calm mind. You were, early on in your career, one of the youngest to achieve the highest sales price in the Valley. I think at the time.
Yeah, 40 under 40.
40 under 40.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, my success is hands down attributed to so many different people. And I always say, if you point to anyone's success, it has to do with someone giving you a chance. And luckily, one of my biggest gifts was my father and him teaching me everything that he knew. And having great people in my life that help me move forward.
Right.
You know, and that's, you have to be humble, you have to be appreciative, and it's a lot of other people that really gave me the opportunity to shine. It wasn't just my own doing.
There are opportunities, but you had to make the decision to take the opportunity.
True. And it was something that, to me, I like it. You know, I like being able to take something that people say, oh, you can't do, and just do it. That's always been, I had a friend of mine, there's a little caveat. I had a friend of mine that talked about writing a book for 5 years prior to me writing a book, or probably you writing a book. And I said, why don't you just do it?
Right.
It's not rocket science. Sit down, type up a manuscript, edit it, and get it out there. And he still didn't write it. And unfortunately, once I put my book out with my buddy R.C. Thornton, our friendship was kind of lost in translation because he didn't act.
Right.
Half of it is just showing up and the other half is taking action to move forward.
Exactly. Taking the opportunity. So I think that opportunities fly by everyone all the time. And it's having the ability to recognize that, which, like you said, opportunity with your father, but you are in the company with your father and your brother, correct?
Yeah, my brother lives in San Francisco, so really it's my father and I that run it. But yeah, we also have a designer, Deborah Richardson, that's part of our team, and Robert Altschuler, he's part of our team as well. But it's a collective.
Yes.
And most importantly, it's having 150 subcontractors underneath us that are good at what they do.
But again, you took advantage of the opportunity, but it wouldn't be successful if you didn't implement and manifest that.
Yeah.
You do everything from design to the contracting to the sales. What is your favorite part?
Seeing something go from nothing to a beautiful home is exciting. And it's the whole thing that's, it's all very detail oriented, and it's really, construction is really difficult. Yeah. And believe me, that's not my forte. My father he's an expert at it. He's been doing it for years, and I know it well now. Yeah. But building a house is not easy. And anyone will tell you to build a beautiful home multiple times over, it just takes a lot of patience, and it takes a customer and or yourself knowing what goes into it. Yeah. I mean, we're fortunate enough to be building, Christy and Brian's house at the moment, and we're at the beginning stages, and it's going to be a magnificent house. But they have the right temperament to be a part of building something grand because it's difficult.
Sure, and with any business, your client, your partner, whoever you're working with, you do have to have the cohesive synergy to work together.
100%.
Like a relationship.
100%.
So both of those millionaire date doctor and your real estate business are built on relationships.
100%.
And it's why you're successful as well, because you cultivate them.
Yeah.
And you're using that as your purpose to build a legacy for yourself, for your family, for your future. And you happen to have met a little someone recently?
Yeah, no, a year and a half ago. It was great, wonderful to meet someone in the industry that thought like I did, and we have a great relationship. Amanda Malcolm's fantastic.
Yes. And that brings me to what you do on a daily basis. So on a daily basis, you write your goals, respond to emails. You take 10 minutes to not only vision what you want for yourself, the dream that you want for yourself, but how you're going to manifest it. Just 10 minutes. Love that. Help others with your, I'm going to call them gifts. And make sure you get 8 hours of sleep.
Sleep is really important. I sleep a ton.
Yeah.
And I realize when I don't get sleep, I'm more irritable and things, go awry. So sleeping is important. And having definitive goals and figuring out ways to achieve them quickly. And not quickly necessarily, because it is long-term over time. But for me, it's finding a niche within the niche. Like being a real estate agent. There's a lot of realtors out there.
We have the highest concentration of real estate agents per capita in Arizona.
But what defines you? What defines you? What makes you different? It's not, I have good service. It's all, everyone has the same thing.
Right.
That's good. What defines you is a niche within a niche, you know? And for me, what set me free was real estate, but it wasn't necessarily buying and selling of homes, which I love doing. It was buying properties at a young age and just keep buying them. And I just never sold them, So I always encourage people, learn about purchasing homes and keeping them in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, it's a very simple system. I teach people it all the time, and you'll, without a doubt, 100% be a multimillionaire. No doubt in my mind.
So let's say that you are someone that you have no money.
Sure.
You just had enough to get your real estate license.
Sure.
And you have no opportunities. No one's offering you anything.
Sure.
What is that 10 minutes that, you're envisioning every day to manifest what you just described? What's one of the first things you do?
If you're a realtor starting out and you don't have the means, the first thing to do is, again, isolate and figure out who your idol is and who you want to become. Once you figure out who they are and, who you want to become, you have to figure out a way to give them unbelievable value at a very low cost.
Yeah.
Whether that's, bringing them coffee, bringing them deals, bringing them opportunities. People will listen to other people that make them money.
Yeah.
And if you have no money, and you have the services and or the ability to help someone achieve what they want to achieve, you'll ingratiate yourself quickly and you yourself will be wealthy.
Yeah.
The thing I realized, and it took a long time to realize, is wealth and success does not happen overnight. It's very rare.
Right.
Most agents that are successful have at least a 3 to 4 year window before they start making money.
Yes.
I mean, first year in, I made $900. Second year, 12, 14,000.
Yeah.
Third year, I was in 6 digits. And it just, it grows.
Yeah.
And it exponentially kind of snowballs onto each other. But it's all about relationship development.
Yep.
Who you want to become is who you have to be around. And who you don't want to become, you have to eradicate from your life quickly.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. It is about those people that you surround yourself with. And I'm going to go back to opportunity for a little bit because, yes, there is opportunity. But even someone like me, to be honest with you, it wasn't opportunity. It was finding that niche. It was helping those families who have been through hardships start a new chapter. That was my thing. That's what I did. There had to be an agent that did that. For, again, a new agent that doesn't have the resources, emulating something that is your purpose or what you believe in or someone that you want to be is key.
100%. Yeah, I mean, the key is you have to figure out who you want to become and, like I said, reverse engineer everything you possibly can to become it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so fortunate because I got to meet so many of my idols in person and learn from them. Celebrities and people that are high net worth people. And you realize they're regular people.
Right.
They had a dream. Someone gave them a chance. Someone took their opportunity. They got lucky.
Yes.
And they worked hard.
Yeah.
And it manifested itself and grew over time. It didn't happen overnight.
And I think a lot of people have the impression that you were just handed everything that you have. And that's why I'm kind of pounding on this because it's not true. No matter how many opportunities you had, you have worked your ass off.
Yeah, 100%. And believe me, I was given a lot of opportunities. I mean, I had an education that my parents helped pay for. Not college, I paid for that. But travel and experiences and the ability and time. Having the ability not to have to worry about your next meal on the table or worry about keeping your lights on. That's something I haven't yet had to deal with, but it's fear of dealing with it that makes people move ahead.
Yes.
And so, lucky for me, because of high school and what I did with philanthropy and seeing extreme poverty. I mean, when I was 16, I developed a tutoring program with Helping Hands Housing Services that went into families' homes that 4 people or more per family were making a total of $8,000 or less a year.
Yeah.
And you begin to realize how fortunate we are, even at a baseline, to have a home, to have food, to have all these things. And it gives you the drive and the fear never to put yourself and your family in that environment if you can help it.
Right.
But, that's the beauty of having people in your life. If you have a strong enough niche and you have enough people in your life and you're helping them, you'll never be poor.
Right.
No matter what's stripped away from you and your personal things, you'll always have a gift to share with others that they'll compensate you for.
Bringing us to one of the things you do on a daily is you try to help people with your gifts. Tell me about the things you do to give back.
Well, one of the things I do quite often is I get a lot of calls and messages, via social media, people that want to learn about real estate, that want to become an agent or an affiliate within, agents, and how do they grow. So a lot of them are younger, they're in their 20s. And, they have all these ideas, I think, that they've gotten from television or online and looking at all these flashy things. And I always say the trajectory with which you live your 20s and your 30s will dictate the rest of your life.
Interesting.
And you have to work so hard and so smart and give up so much earlier on in life if you want to be successful later on.
Right.
And people don't see that. They see the fancy cars and they see all those things. They're great to have.
Yeah.
But if they're not making you grow, if they're not helping you meet people, and if they're not literally making you more money, you don't need them.
It's empty.
It's empty.
It's
it really
an
is.
empty box.
Yeah.
With nothing in it.
No.
So let's talk about your goals for 2020. So we're halfway through 2020. They may have
What a ride it's been.
they may have changed a little bit from maybe what your goals were in January of 2020, but right now they are discipline, dream, plan, enjoy, and create. What are you creating right now? Well, we're going to chew on the perfume of love just a little bit more when we're back on Friday with the famous questions and Michael Banovac.